Hi, welcome to the Micromark Workbench. Today I have in front of me our 86174 disc belt sander. 1-inch belt with a 5-inch disc on the side. Has an on-off switch located in the front. Both the disc and the belt will run at the same time, so you need to be aware of that when you're using the tool. It comes with two different tables. A flat table, large, expanding for the 5-inch disc side. A round table that will go on, and I'll show you how to apply it for the belt. Comes with a vacuum port for the 5-inch disc side and the 3 screws needed to mount it. Comes with an Allen wrench that you'll need, and I'll show you where you'll use that at. Comes with a miter gauge to run in the slot for the 5-inch disc side. Comes with 2 knobs that help lock the table in place for this side of the unit, and a locking knob for the tilting table for the belt. It also comes with an instruction booklet to show you how to put it together. There's minor assembly as I showed you the different parts. There's a parts schematic in here for the unit, as well as instructions for general use of the sander. Okay, to mount the table for the 5-inch disc side, there are 2 pins molded into this structure that are going to slide up on both sides of the unit and go up. And it's going to have one locking knob on the left side, one on the right. So you hold that up. There is a curvature for it in the housing, which allows you to tilt it to the different angles. Inside here, there's a hole. This is in the opposite side that you will line up and screw on. So you line up that knob and screw that one all the way in. We'll adjust the table later on. We're just going to lock it in because the next step is going to be putting on the port cover. The port cover has 3 mounting holes, 1 to the rear and 2 to the front, and they'll be mounted into that hole and the 2 front holes. You should loosely get it into the back one first and then finish with the 2 front screws. And they're simply Phillips screws. You do not get a Phillips screwdriver with the unit, but Phillips screwdrivers are pretty much a household item, and a number 1 or number 2 Phillips screwdriver will work fine. So to mount this properly, this slot molded into the port needs to go right on either side of this part of the structure, and this tab needs to go on the inside of this plate. So I'm going to do that now. The table and the other components do come with a slight oil on them, and if you ever needed to remove it, you could spray this with WD-40 and just wipe it down with a rag to get those residual oil deposits off. So this is loose. We're not going to want it to work on it with it loose. We want it to be locked at 90 degrees for us to start out of the box. It's important that you have a square in your workshop. I have a square right here. I'm going to put it on the table, and I'm going to look how it impacts the sanding discs. And once I get the sanding disc at a 90-degree angle to the plate, I'm going to lock down my knobs, front and rear. So I know that when I'm going to come up here later on and sand against this for you, it's at a 90-degree angle to the plate. The unit comes with an L bracket support plate for the 1-inch belt, which is important to have. It's adjustable. It can ride in both these slots. To set it up before I put the table on, I'm going to loosen these 2 screws, and I'm going to back it up just a hair. The Allen wrench that you need for this comes with the sander, so I'm going to loosen those. And you see the plate can pivot. I'm going to back it away from my belt. I have the unit plugged in right now. I'm going to turn it on, being conscious of the fact that the belt's going to run as well as the disc that's near to me. And I'm going to make sure that I don't get tangled in any of the workings of the unit. But I want to take this and I want to push it up against the moving belt, and then I'm going to tighten these 2 things down so that I have full support across the belt, left and right. And I'm going to do that now. I don't want to push the belt out, but I do want to support it. That would not support it. So right there, I'm going to shut the unit off. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to tighten these two set screws. With the unit off. This is because once I do this now and I put the table on, the table is going to be over top of it. The table does have a cutout on it, but this is more advantageous to do it at this point than later on.
Action.
So the table for the belt side slides on from the right to the left, and you put the sanding paper in between the slot, and you can slide it straight down, and that's how it's going to mount. And I'm also going to show you that there's a guide cut out in here where this adjusting arm will go. It allows you to tilt the table up to 45 degrees to 90 for the different uses you may have for the belt side. It also has on the flip side of this table a nut and a set screw. This is here so that you can set it up initially so that the length of the screw sticking out allows the table to sit at a 90-degree angle. It's located in the back, so you don't need to set 90 all the time. You'll know that when you bring the table up and that screw impacts the housing that's behind here, the table's at 90 and then can be locked down. The locking handle comes with a large washer, which will go on over the threads of the screw before you install it. The handle is spring-loaded. When the handle is down, it's engaging the gearing inside. When you pull it away, that's when it allows you to move this without the rest of it moving. So you move it, lock it, turn it, pull it out, move it, lock it, turn it to tighten or to loosen. But to mount it, the easiest thing for you to do is take the Allen wrench that came with it, back that spring-loaded screw out. The spring is not under a lot of tension, so it won't fly away. Set that down on your workbench, and then pull these two pieces apart. And there's your gearing on this piece, and a matching set is inside the handle. So we're going to be taking this part now, and by hand, screw it into the framework to secure the table in place. Your hole is located here. It's threaded inside, and you're going to pass the threads through the slot. So we're going to bring it down and then turn by hand this part here until it gets tight a little bit, snug. And now you can take your handle, put it on over top of that, take your screw with the spring, insert it into the hole, and re-engage the threads of the piece that's already mounted to the machine. And with using your Allen wrench, you can tighten this screw up. Having it snug is good enough. The table is now installed. This handle can be loosened and the table pivoted. And then the handle can go back down, be pulled up, out of the way. And if that's where I wanted my table locked, it's locked at this position. Otherwise, you pull the handle back out, raise it up, lock it in, and piece by piece, you're loosening it up. You come back up to where the table's hitting the back set screw for 90, and we lock the table into position. I showed you a second ago the mounting of the table with the handle. I'm now going to remove this plastic piece in front, the clear guard, by loosening this screw a little bit and sliding the slot off the screw. I'm doing this because I want to make sure that my table and belt are set to a proper 90-degree angle for this set screw I showed you in the back. And as I turn it around, you can see that it's in contact with the top part of the belt. But the 90-degree angle gauge I have here is not in contact with the bottom. So this table actually needs to come back more, which means I need to back off of the set screw that's back here. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that in just a second. So the nut is loose again because I'm not quite there with my adjustment. I've rotated the screw. And you'll rotate the screw in the proper direction as you need to in order to get that table in the right position. So I've got that just hand tight right now. I'm going to bring it back forward. The slot that's in that table where the handle is located allows you to move this plate closer and further away from the belt for whatever sanding operations you want to do. If you're doing a small piece, you'd want it to be as close as possible, which you can get almost all the way to the belt. But you don't want to sand the table, but you're not going to lose your piece between it either. Or if it didn't matter, you could keep it a little bit away like I'm going to do right there. The handle, I'm rotating it now to lock the table in place to test my 90-degree. And I'm only a hair away now, so I got to make one more adjustment, and I'll do that and be right back. Okay, so I've adjusted this one more time. I went snug with my fingers on the nut, brought it back up, locked the table into position, up against the belt, against the back plate, against the sanding belt, and we are now at a 90-degree angle. So now I'm going to secure that nut in the back, and we're about ready to use the tool. Adjusted it one more time. It's now tight. We are locked in position, and now we know every time we bring that table back up, we're going to be at a 90-degree angle to that sanding belt, which is what we want. And not only to do 90s, but if we were going to set the table at 45, you'd need to know that this table is square to that plate. So the unit is basically ready to go now. I've needed a wrench. I've needed a screwdriver in addition to the L wrench that comes with the tool. And I've needed the squares that I've been using. Right now I was using a 90-degree square. I'm going to show you my 45 later on. And I'm going to show you sanding various pieces on the different points on this unit that you can use to sand. So I'm going to reinstall my safety guard for right now up here. Also located at the back part of the unit is an adjustment knob. This is for the tracking of the belt for left and right, because you want that belt to be running onto your back supporting L plate correctly. You don't want it to be too far to the left or too far to the right. So you adjust this as the belt is moving. I'll show you that now. The belt's coming to your right when I make this adjustment. Going the other way, it's going to go to the left. You don't want that to happen. You want it to be right behind the 1-inch L bracket that supports the belt. So that's what this adjustment does in the back of the unit. We've got this aligned properly with our belt alignment tool in the back of the unit that's built into it I showed you. And we're ready to sand something. So let's get to it. Okay, so I've got the miter gauge that comes along with the tool. It does 45 degrees left and right of 90. 90 is set at the 0. You should always check your miter gauge and set it up, because once you sand something, you can't go back if you've gone too far. So I have the back plate of my L gauge set up against the back plate of the miter gauge and its runner, and I'm set at 90 degrees. With a 5-inch disc sander, keep in mind, you only get 2.5 inches of working room. You don't want to be sanding on the upside as this disc rotates. You can see the directional arrow that's here going that way. So you get 2.5 inches out of a 5-inch disc. Turn the unit on. Okay, as you saw me sand this, you saw a lot of sawdust kick up. That's why it's important to use the vacuum port that's on this side of the unit here, there's an adapter that you get with the unit in order to fit different size hoses. So now I'm going to put that in there, and all that sawdust you saw flying up at me will be eliminated and be caught in the vacuum of my shop vac. This is our 82285. It's a center finder, usually used to find the center of dowels. However, I know that this is a 90-degree angle, and I know that this to this relationship is a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to use it to make sure I set my table up to a 45-degree angle for my needs. I'll do that by loosening the two locking knobs on either side. I'm going to come back in just like I did with the belt sander, make sure my table and my disc are at my desired angle. There are graduations molded into the table on the front side where you can do this, but it's always good to have something you know is set for the angle that you want. In this case, my 45. I'm using this top wheel for concave sanding. You can do convex sanding as well by removing this plate and its two screws, setting it to the side. You'll notice that when I'm going to push on this with my piece of wood, it's going to deflect, and I'll be able to do this compound curve into the belt. So I'm going to come around now and show you that. In closing, that's the 1-inch belt, 5-inch disc sander that we've been selling for many years. This is a reliable supplier, good quality. You've got different ways you can utilize this tool for your wood needs and sandings. You could do foam on it, you could do hardboards on it. Micromark does offer replacement sanding belts and discs for this unit. For the discs, we have an 80 grit and a 120 grit pressure sensitive adhesive discs. For the belts, we offer an 80, a 120, a 180, and a 240. Micromark also offers belts that we had produced for this. Our micro mesh belts, which come in coarse, medium, and fine. They're great to remove rust, tarnish, buff. You can buff something that's metal that's coarse and not shiny looking, and you can take the different grip belts we offer. Simply replace the sanding belts with these, and they are impregnated with silicon carbide. They don't eat up, and you won't see material sticking to them, so they won't bind up either. So Micromark also offers these in 3 different: coarse, medium, and fine. Thanks for watching.